The Nissan Z. This is one car that has never really deviated from its original formula. Since day one, the goal of the Nissan Z was to be fun to drive. The only thing that's really changed is the name, originally called Fairlady in Japan because at the time the president of Nissan saw My Fair Lady on Broadway and apparently he absolutely loved it. Here in the States, you always had numbers in front of the letters, but now you no longer have any numbers. It's just called Z. But yeah, for 53 years, the formula has always consisted of an affordable price tag, a rear-wheel drive layout, a 6-cylinder under the hood, and a manual transmission. Well, the one I'm driving has a 9-speed automatic, so there's a slight change here. Do I wish it was a manual? Yes, but hey, that's what Nissan gave me, and I greatly appreciate it. At least it'll be easier to do a launch control. So, here we go. Left foot on the brake, gas all the way down, let it build. Oh! My name is Omar, and this is the 2023 Nissan Z. So yeah, the Z no longer has numbers in the front like the legendary 240Z, the 280Z, the 350Z, and the 370Z. Technically, this should have been called the 300Z, but Nissan's marketing team felt that it would be bad for optics going backwards, so they just called it Z, and I'm not mad at it. It's like Justin Timberlake popped up in that meeting and was like, drop the 300, just Z, it's cleaner. Now, that said, let's get right to it. Under the hood, you have a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 making 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. And man, is that engine brilliant. The last time the Z was updated was like in 2009, and I think that's the last time I drove one, but it's still every bit of fun as I remember it. I did 0 to 60 in this one in about 4.2 seconds, and this thing will keep going until 155 miles an hour. So yeah, this is the same engine that we saw in the Q50 and Q60 Red Sport. So for the Z, this is an increase of 68 horsepower over the outgoing 370Z, and you definitely feel it. Weight-wise, this new one is slightly heavier, but not by much. The 370Z topped out right under 3,500 pounds. The new Z pushes right over 3,500 with the manual transmission and over 3,600 with an automatic. See, the one thing that I always loved about the Z was that it was an affordable sports car that you could drive every day without hurting your back. And that still holds true for the new Z. This thing is very quick, but still very comfortable. Yes, the interior is a little tight for taller individuals, but it's not terribly small either. Now, we'll talk more about how this drives in a few minutes because I know what most of you want to know. Is this better than the new Toyota Supra? And to be honest, I think that's an unfair question. This is supposed to be a battle of true JDM Japanese domestic sports cars, and the new Supra, well, that isn't one. So technically, that's like asking if the new Z is better than the BMW M2. And I'll still give you my answer on that, but first, let me give you a tour of the new Z. We'll take a look at the inside, we'll take a look at the outside, and then I'll give you my opinion on whether or not if you should buy this or the Toyota M2. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. All right. Let's go and do this. All right, before we get into everything else, let's kick it off by listening to that exhaust sound. I definitely expected a little bit more from this exhaust, so I'm not that impressed. But let's dig into the interior of the new Z before we talk about that beautiful exterior design. Now, once you get in here, you'll notice that a lot of it is very familiar and resembles the outgoing Z quite a bit. Reason being, this is still based on the last gen Z, so everything in here still feels the same, but there have been some upgrades to make it feel more modern. Some things that you'll recognize are these door handles and the vents. They are exactly the same from the outgoing 370Z. The switches for the windows and the door locks are exactly the same. The gauges right up here are from the 370Z, as are the climate control dials right down here. These two buttons here are still there, but now the left button is your start-stop button and the right one lets you circle through your drive modes. The heated seat controls and the trunk release buttons are still over here, and then you still have one cup holder and you can slide back the center armrest to reveal the second one. So yeah, it's pretty much the same, but still different. Now, when it comes to modernizing this interior, that's where the tech comes into play. All Nissan Z trims come with this 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster as standard. It's very similar to the gauge cluster you've seen on the new Rogue and the new Pathfinder. You have 3 viewing modes, including normal, enhanced, which is one of my favorites, and again, we've already seen this on other Nissan models, but the Z also gets this pretty sharp and minimal sport viewing mode that features shift lights at the top and some other information that you'll need for when you're on the track. That said, if you're going to buy the Z, just keep it in the sport viewing mode. This is the best mode to view when you're driving. Moving over to the center screen. Now, if you go for the Nissan Z Sport, you'll get an 8-inch touchscreen display, but if you go for the performance trim, you'll get an upgraded 9-inch touchscreen display with navigation as standard. Nonetheless, both the Sport and the performance trims come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard, so that's pretty cool. Other than that, this is pretty much Nissan's new infotainment system, and it's pretty simple and straightforward to use, although I wish the performance was just a little bit better. And that's really about it. What you don't have in the new Z in a 2023 model year vehicle is a wireless charger, which is a little disappointing to me. Now, one thing that I really appreciate about the interior of the new Z is that you still have a manual handbrake. Nissan really knows its customers. And I still like the fact that you have some extra storage right here behind the seats. That can be a very useful area to throw in some items that you don't frequently use. Oh, and if you're wondering, this bright blue Smurf interior color is called just blue. The new Z is available in 3 interior colors, including black, red, and this blue. I'm officially naming this Smurf blue. That's just me. All right, let's talk about the looks of the new Nissan Z. In my opinion, this thing looks really sharp and is a noteworthy upgrade to one of the most legendary sports cars that ever existed. Now, as you would expect, there is a lot here that's inspired by the past. Starting from the front, the headlamps of the new Z are inspired by the JDM Market 240ZG. You have 2 half circles that make up the daytime running lights, and they take their inspiration directly from that model. The new Z still has a really long hood, which has always been the case, but these lines on the hood that create a Y shape are also inspired by Zs of the past. Now, also inspired by the 240Z is this large rectangle grille. Originally, when the concept first came out, everybody was up in arms about how weird that rectangle grille looked, so Nissan added these gray rectangular slots in here to give it some more character, and you'll find that rectangle design throughout the new Z. One of the places that you'll find that rectangular design is right here on the LED taillights, which are actually inspired by the Z32-300ZX. Honestly, these look really, really cool. And while I'm back here, let me show you how to pop the trunk. You see this Nissan logo? Well, right under where it says Nissan is a button that you press to pop open the trunk. Pretty cool. Also, when you look inside the trunk, you'll notice that the cargo area of the new Z is exactly the same as the cargo area of the previous Gen Z. Nothing different here at all. From the side, the new Z carries on the beautiful Z silhouette, and one of the inspiration that you'll see here taken from the past are the door handles, which are inspired by the Z33 from 2003. And then you have the original Z badge from the 240Z located right here and on the back. But yeah, that said, the new Z is one awesome looking sports car. Do you like the design of the new Z or the new Supra? I personally like the new Z. Let me know which one you like in the comments below. Now, one of the best things about the new Z is that Nissan managed to keep the price tag right under $40,000. And yes, that's due to a lot of the previous Z being carried over, but in 2022, this price tag for a sports car like this is pretty impressive. Now, if you jump up to the Z Performance from the Z Sport, that price tag jumps up to right under $50,000, and the Z Proto Spec starts right under $53,000. But the cool part is that you don't have to pay extra whether you go for the manual transmission or the automatic. If you go for the base Z Sport, that comes with 18-inch wheels and 12-inch rotor brakes with fixed 2-piston calipers in the front and a single piston caliper in the back. Hop inside and tech-wise, you still get the 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster display. However, the Z Sport gets the smaller 8-inch touchscreen display in the center, but you still get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. And when it comes to the seat, you have manual cloth seats for both the driver and the passenger. The Z Performance that I'm testing here steps things up with 19-inch wheels and upgraded performance brakes with 4-piston calipers in the front and 2-piston calipers in the back. The Performance also gets a front chin spoiler, a nice rear spoiler, and side sill spoilers. Inside, you get leather-appointed seats for both the driver and the passenger, and they are powered this time, with the driver getting 4-way power adjustable seats with lumbar and thigh support, and the passenger getting 4-way power seats with no support at all. The center touchscreen gets upgraded to 9 inches, and this time you get navigation as standard. The sound system gets upgraded to an 8-speaker Bose sound system, and I didn't mention this before, but the Z Performance will also give you a mechanical limited slip differential as well. As for the Proto Limited Launch Edition, that just gets a bunch of exclusive yellow touches inside out, and it looks pretty cool. And then safety and driver assist tech-wise, you get everything as standard on all Z trims, including adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, forward collision warning, emergency braking with pedestrian detection, rear cross traffic alert, blind spot monitoring, and more. Camera game-wise though, you only have this low-res rear view camera, which is kind of disappointing. Alright, before I give you my opinion on how the new Z drives, let me point out a few important daily ownership highlights that I'll have to show all of you. You have two cup holders. One is right there and one is hidden right there in the center armrest. Here are what the keys look like to the new Z. No Z logo, no remote start, just a plain Nissan key. Door open and close sound from the outside and from the inside. Sorry about the wind, it's really windy outside. Charging game-wise, you have a USB-C port and a USB-A port and no wireless charger, even though they probably could have fit it right there. And let's do an indicator and horn sound test. Indicator first. Pretty simple. Now for the horn sound. That's solid. I like it. Better than the Supra. So yeah, I kind of got carried away a little bit in the beginning, but can you blame me? I'm driving the new Z. Of course, I had to talk about how it drives a little bit right off the bat, but let's get into it a little bit more. This engine for the Z is really well calibrated. You have really sharp throttle response, and that's really the main highlight for 2023. You have better airflow to the engine, and the other highlight for 2023 is that you have a 23.9% increase to body rigidity, which provides for a more balanced feel, and you have better brakes, especially on the performance model. The steering feels more connected, definitely better than the Q50 and Q60 Red Sport. You just feel very confident taking bends at high speeds. And then the stability that this thing has at every speed just makes it perfect. Whether you're going 65 or you're going 100 miles an hour, it just feels so stable. It's honestly crazy that you have a car here that has 400 horsepower and drives like this at a $40,000 price tag. You really can't get upset that Nissan didn't do more here because the Z was already great. I honestly feel like that if they did anything else, that would drastically change the price of this car and no longer make it the affordable sports car that we all love. Now, what about the transmission? Should you get an automatic or a manual? Well, if you know how to drive a manual transmission, then definitely get the manual. There's no question about that. If you go for the automatic, it doesn't entirely take away from the driving experience, although I do wish that it shifted a little bit quicker. It shifts pretty quick when you downshift, but when you upshift, it takes a second. Would I have loved to see a dual clutch transmission on the new Z? Of course, but that would make it cost more. But the other thing that this does that I don't like is that it denies you downshifts. That's why I would go for the manual over the automatic. Now, as for the Z versus the Supra battle, which is better? The new Supra is an outstanding sports car. I absolutely love it. It's just not a Toyota. Does the Supra feel a little bit more aggressive than the Z? Sure, but it has to. It's based on an M2. The new Z is all Nissan. Sure, it's based a lot on the previous generation, updated with a powerful engine, better handling, better driving dynamics, fancier tech, and all that, but it's still all Nissan doing their own work. Getting a new Nissan Z approved by the executives was a big battle inside Nissan, and having one with the manual transmission was probably an even bigger battle because this engine doesn't really play well with the manual transmission, so the engineering team really had their work cut out. And when a new Supra came out without a manual transmission, that made it even tougher for the enthusiasts inside Nissan to make a case for a manual. But they stuck to their guns and got it done, so really we can thank the Nissan Z for the Supra finally getting a manual transmission. This is still a true JDM sports car, and in my opinion, they absolutely nailed it. This has everything that a Nissan Z should be. Styling, performance, and sound. All of it's there. Either way, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. My handle is @OmarDrives. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care. Peace. Come on, GMC Canyon and Chevy Malibu. Switch lanes, get out of my way, or I'll just go. Oh, it sounds so good. I'm going 100, and it's so stable. I love this thing.